Hi, it's Mark and Carol with Curious Intentions on another Friday at 3. And
Yeah.
I guess what we were talking about is that I am lower energy right now.
Yeah.
And you brought that up. So we wanted to, there's an opportunity, right, to have a conversation about it.
Sure. Yeah. So when we were talking before, I noticed that your energy was lower. You're not as as sassy as you normally are.
Yeah.
Not as quick as you normally are, and so I was just curious because we don't have a contract to do these things, obviously. And I was wondering, like, your energetic state, where it was, and if you still felt like doing it, because it's just not the overall version of Carol that I know. And then you said, no, let's do it. And so I was thinking, okay, all right. I'm not sure that I would necessarily have done that. Not that it's a bad thing or whatever, but maybe decision points on when you decide to continue to follow through, even when it doesn't feel, all the time, like, I don't feel like doing it. I don't have the energy to whatever it happens to be. And just kind of talk about that if you're up for it, because, that I think that's a good start.
I'm totally up for it. And, this is kind of how I show up through my videos is being real. So this actually kind of is what I would rather have, is the realness of the no energy, because that's also true for me right now. I just haven't put online what I've been dealing with, right, because I've been too tired, which would make sense. Because I have anemia from all the trauma that my body has been through. My iron is depleted. So they're trying to get me in City of Hope as quick as they can to get a bunch of iron in me, do an infusion. And I guess there's some big old fancy kind of infusion that they have. I don't know. I don't know anything about infusions at all anyway. But I guess it can be done in like 15 minutes and then you're all perky again. So my body is depleted. I mean, I've been through, a lot in this last 5 months physically. And on top of it, the 2-year anniversary of Daniel's loss is, we're doing a celebratory thing this on Sunday.
Real quick, for people that might not know who Daniel is.
He's my extra kid, my adoptive son that passed away 2 years ago at 21. So we're doing like a, embracing his life and looking at the funny stuff and looking at his pictures. And I'm going to do a dinner and make his favorite food. He one of his favorite things was my lamb burritos. And not
lamb.
Yes, I make lamb burritos.
Like Baba Black Sheep. Have you eaten those kind of lambs? Like
that? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm a vegetarian, so it's just I thought you said lamb, but I thought maybe there was anyway. Sorry, I got caught off. So he loved your lamb burritos.
He loved my lamb burritos. Yes. I might make my own tzatziki and my own hummus and my own just my own creations of Greek Mediterranean kind of cooking. And so I came up with this a long time ago, and he just loved them. So one of my sons, because my kids are going to be here too, there, and his other adoptive family will be here. We're going to have the lamb burritos he loves, and I'll make hummus and tzatziki and all that. So there's a piece of that I am.
Anniversary.
That's huge.
When is this?
This will be his 2nd year.
Oh wow.
So all of this, really everything that's happened to me in this last couple of years has really come out of that moment that he crashed into a Pep Boys. I mean, I really don't think I would be who I am, how I show up today. I don't think I would have the courage. It shifted me. It almost killed me many times.
So share more about that, because I'm not sure I fully understand how that impacted you the way that it did to get you to where you are.
Well, all I can tell you is that losing him I've gone through a lot of death, but losing him was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. And so I really kind of thought I was going insane. I mean, that I've been through a lot of death, and lost my mom, lost my dad, lost many people, but I really felt like I was going insane. And 3 weeks after that, I ended up in the hospital and almost died from a total blockage. I've had many, many surgeries since then because of that moment that I think my body gave up, as well as my mind. So during that time, once I kind of came back from that surgery, I started doing these videos. I didn't care if anybody judged me. I let go of them seeing me, and pardon the pun, stripped down to the raw. I just didn't care anymore. I thought, you know what? I got nothing to lose because Daniel's gone. So that's when I got in front of a Facebook Live and started showing whatever I felt at the time. Just whatever showed up was what showed up. And that started creating this space where I kept doing that, and people responded to that. And it's hands down changed.
So what was the space you created?
My willingness to be as authentic as I know how to be to the world, to anybody who's watching. Maybe it's one person or maybe it's the world, however that looks. I just was okay to be made a fool of, or to be for somebody to go, I don't like you. The feedback at that point didn't matter, because I didn't really know that I wanted to live. I mean, I didn't want to live in pain, let's say that. I wanted to live, but not in pain. So I started doing that, and my being stripped was freeing. It freed me. It changed me. Mm-hmm. My kids kind of thought I lost my mind because, like, what's mom doing? Like, she's, getting in front of a camera and all her life is spread out amongst, whoever watches this stuff. But it freed me. It freed me from caring about judgment of others. And I won't say that there hasn't been times it snuck back, but for the most part, I really don't care of that. And maybe, maybe I do care, but it's not like the caring that, like, you could tell me that I suck and I'd be like, that's interesting. But tell me more about how I suck. So I've been more open in that I don't know place. I really think due to his death. And I came to realize that in Kauai.
Is there just so if anybody's paying attention, this is like a little sample coaching session. So just that's what I guess it's kind of trying to turn into.
Yeah. Usually.
So you said it was shifted because of his death.
Yeah.
Is there another way to look at that?
There's always another way to look at everything.
Yeah, but are you sure it's his death?
That's what I believe, yes. It's taken me 2 years to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. No. But I'm wondering if it's not necessarily his death per se, as much it was the death to a belief system you hold so dear that limited you so much before,
Yeah.
you had to let go of.
Yeah. I mean, it took off the mask for
It
me.
was
I was okay
well
to
for you, but you didn't have to though.
no, I was okay to take off the mask.
Yeah.
I think I didn't have the energy to pretend anymore. To some degree, there was none,
Yeah, for sure,
you know,
for sure. It's
however,
just like
depression times 10. You know?
I have only, I'm out of cares to give. I guess that's the politically correct way to say it.
Really? I have never heard that. Okay. Well, I'm out of cares to
because
give.
because that's why I said it's the more a tame version of it. Because there's instead of cares, you could like insert expletives.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a point where it's like you just don't care, like because you don't have enough energy to care.
I did not. Yes, I did not have the energy. That was just. I can't tell you the feeling because I couldn't even describe it to anybody. It rocked me to my core. And so when it rocked me to my core, I went on an antidepressant, and I knew I was over my head in terms of how to function after this had happened. And it continued to cause issues with my health. And so that changed me. And then, the surgeries and all the things that happened from that changed me. And now that I'm coming back, I still have, I'm not septic anymore. But I'm sure to some degree that will take time. There's probably, something left in there. I don't know how all that body stuff works. But to some degree.
So why don't you just quit and take care of yourself?
I am.
I mean, quit your practice and all that.
Oh, I thought through that. Remember, I thought through that. I walked through that in my mind. I actually did. I quit practice.
I remember it. Yeah, but I'm just
because I thought through it. I imagined handing in my key. I imagined every step of it, calling the owner of the building, doing all those things, and I ended up pretty much seeing myself sucking a thumb in the corner. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. I really, because I don't have depression. And I have been off the medication for, 7-8 months now. But at the time, it felt that I couldn't walk through that pain. Yeah. I did. I have. I'm on a different, I'm at a different place. When I got to Kauai, something different happened. Again, the doctor just said I was septic and I really didn't have long to live when I was in Hawaii. So, so I hit a different, it's not the first time I've heard I've been dying the last 2 years. It's just a bunch of times. But when you hear that, it's like you either embrace life, you either choose it, or, you choose status.
What does that mean though? So yeah, it's good. That's a good little catchphrase and all that. But what does that mean in the nuts and bolts of how life unfolds and what you choose to, is it to do, or is it mindset, or what is it?
Well, I consider embracing.
Let me just put it out there. Sorry for interrupting. Let me just put out there where I'm going.
Yes.
Is, because it's not a surprise. Look, the amount of trauma you've been through, the amount of stuff you've been through, is hard for any human being, period. Yes. Let alone to go from the trauma, the medical stuff that kind of dovetailed in some mental health, and still now being more successful in your practice than you've ever been.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm asking is what that really means, because if there's a recipe or something that worked for you, maybe the recipe will work for other people. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's just Carol's recipe.
No, I think it definitely works for other people. I mean, in recognizing I how do I say this? I'm trying to think how to word this. If I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out big.
Go big or go home. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I thought at this point, I can take any risk. It doesn't really matter. If I fail, so what? If I don't fail, okay. Like I might as well go out doing what my calling, I believe my calling is to make a difference with the most amount of people while I'm alive. And so I thought, well, I might as well just go really big or go home. And
No,
so,
no, I'm talking. No, I get the overall picture. I'm talking about in the minutia of stuff when things were getting really hard, and you were told that you were septic, and so forth, and you said, "Well, and I'm just going to choose to live. I'm going to choose life." I get that. I get what you said, but
yeah,
I'm wondering like how it shows up in your behavior or your attitude or what. Just because I say something doesn't mean it's going to. If I'm going to choose life. Well, you could choose life eating potato chips and a 2 liter of the gallon of 2 liters of Coke, but that's not going to really do anything for you. But you're saying you had the thought and you put something obviously into action, and there's decision points everywhere.
right.
But more specifically to you, how does that, like, what's the recipe for that? Like, instead of doing this, I decided to do that.
Yeah, taking as big a risk as I could before I left this earth.
Aha. Yes, 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 yes. Like Wayne Dyer says, the secret to living is to die while you're still alive. Fortunately,
I love that.
yeah. So
God, I love Wayne Dyer. I just got to learn him someday. So can you say that again? Because I got to write it down. Secret to living is dying while you're still alive.
I just got my flow killed by Carol Rose Atkinson because I was about ready to riff off somewhere, and then she wants to look at. He said something to the effect of, the secret to living is to die while you're still alive. Right? So check this out. It seems as though you went through a whole series of tragedies, right? And then after that tragedy kind of lifted, it's like you didn't care about the opinions of other people because it doesn't matter in the end. You didn't care about whether people thought anything about you because it doesn't matter in the end. And so you chose to kind of die to the well-intending opinions, and sometimes maybe not so well-intending, I don't know, but so the well-intending opinions of other people. And you're seeing or saw, whatever the case is, as a result of that, you're able to like see the world completely different. Things are allowed to show up that never showed up before.
Yes.
It's pretty remarkable. And so you went through a developmental stage almost in your consciousness or your own psyche or development or whatever, where you shifted a big step.
Yeah, I did.
And that's incredibly freeing.
Yes.
Because you started paying attention to what really matters, and people's thoughts about you that don't really matter.
Nope.
I mean, maybe that's good feedback to some, but the rest, it's like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and so you should. And so should everybody.
Other than the should part, I'm good with what you just said. It would be my goal. Shoulds are, not.
Well, okay. I'm not attached to the should. I think it would be, well, if you give anything more than that, you're living in the world duality. If I even say it would be more beneficial, it wouldn't work for everybody because, how do I know it's beneficial? Maybe what's beneficial for you next, this is horrible. Maybe what's beneficial for you, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about people, including myself, is to go through a tragedy.
Well,
that might be because that might be the way of it, right? And I'm not hoping that on anything or you or anybody.
Well, it shifts you for sure. I mean, my pastor's been talking a lot about that. That's a few series he's been doing lately, and I know it's because his health is at risk, and he walked through the same journey around the same time that I was going, pretty much exactly the same time he was going through his own journey. So he's been talking a lot about that. And it's just so interesting. Like, yeah, I don't care about the opinions of like being liked or not being liked anymore. And I do think, and I say this to parents sometimes, and I know this is a hard one to swallow, but if my kids had to go through stuff in their life, I felt that was better than them being raised with no stuff, because the stuff is what builds the character and the depth and
stuff. What, like tragic stuff?
Well, life stuff. Mm-hmm. However that looks. It could be, tragic, but it could be, just like divorce, or it could be, they're not liked at school, or, they failed somewhere. Because I always believe we're one failure away from success. So if they don't have those failures, then how do they, become that person that they would be proud of being?
Yeah.
So I guess I embrace the failures too, because I always think I'm one step closer to something. I don't know what. Something.
Yeah, and whatever that what is, ultimately, that doesn't really matter either. Mm-mm. I mean, even when you get to where you think you're going to realize that doesn't matter either. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's no end journey with this. Life happens in the journey, so it's everything that's happening. It will continue to unfold as long as I'm here. And
so maybe what you were talking about earlier is you're choosing, or you're becoming more aware of the happenings of the events and how you look at them.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
if you don't see a lot of stressful things, that talks more about your internal than what's actually happening in the external, with no value judgment on it.
What? You lost me.
When someone's going through tragedy, mm-hmm. It's my position that that's exactly where they need to be for the moment that they're in that space. And a lot of times people try to take people out of tragedy and not let them fully heal. So in other words, that's why there's certain protocols for how long you can put weight on your leg if you break it, because it takes literal time for it to heal so it's strong enough again, right?
Yeah.
So if you're in crisis, if you're in tragedy, I'm not saying to not support people, but I am saying that there is the natural ebb and flow of life, that tragedy sometimes will just beset us and we're not even aware of what's coming or whatever, and to just be there to support people, but let them go through the tragedy because that's the current reality. So when I'm talking about like when you're or when I'm working with somebody and they see themselves as going through this whole tragedy and they need to get out of it, well, I can understand that, but I'm not trying to get them out of the tragedy. I'm just supporting them through whatever is going on so they can still have a little bit of hope of where they're going. Does that make sense?
Well, I think, yes, it does make sense. I feel like you're saying that my process is my process. Sometimes people try to get in the middle because they're uncomfortable with watching.
Exactly. Whoa, you said it very well. Right? So the classic example, I don't know where we're going on this because I go off on the tangents, but like when somebody cries in my office, yes. Or maybe you'll see your child crying or whatever, and our natural instinct seems to be to go and help them to stop crying. Like, why are you crying? But whatever's happening is perfect in that moment that needs to be expressed as like an energetic expulsion of whatever's going on.
Yes.
And yeah, you don't want them to stay there forever, but allow it to unfold, whatever's happening to unfold. Because the moment we try to fight it, that's when we get into a lot of trouble.
Exactly. Yes. That's right. So going with it, not fighting that resistance, not being resistant to just like honoring my feelings in that moment has been something that I have really embraced. I get to feel sad in this moment, and And usually once I embrace it, like the need to feel sad goes past pretty quick. But if I fight it, then I spend more energy fighting it than I do actually just expressing it and moving past it.
Right.
So I decided to honor.
Not an easy thing to do.
It became easy through this process. I didn't see another way to do it. There was no other way for me to do it at that point. So I just did it and said, I own it. This is what I'm going to feel. And I'll feel it as long as I don't want to.
That little F word again messes things up sometimes, right? Feel. Oh,
that F word. Well, it could, but I mean, I see it different.
Sure. Can you talk about how you see it different now compared to when you saw it before?
I think I've always been one that has, like taught my kids feeling is normal, is human, it's whatever, all these emotions. But with this, I actually allowed people in the world to see me, or whoever chose to look on the internet to see me as, this is a feeling. We all have them. Don't tell me that you're not like doing, these feelings late at night when nobody's looking. So I just, as my therapist said at the time, that I show what Brene Brown teaches. So I just decided that I was going to do that. It was okay to just put it all out there, whatever I'm feeling. You can judge or not judge. It amazed me how pretty much I wasn't judged, but I was okay to be judged. I was ready to be judged.
Did you also find out that people don't care as much as you think they do?
Well, yeah. I mean, because everybody else is caring about themselves and their own, like, are you looking at me?
Well, yeah, but like, think about it like this. It's like if you do a podcast or you do whatever it happens to be, and I'm going about my life and I want to check out your podcast, and I see it or I watch it or listen to it, and then I just think it's like it's not that great for whatever reason.
Sure.
So if I spend my time to write you and say, Carol, this is horrible. Like what am I really trying to help you, or am I trying to help me?
Well, you're definitely not helping me in that moment. You might think you are.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's a pure intention, but
I mean, the person thinks they're offering help.
Yeah, because like, why should I have to spend? Not why should I? It doesn't make any sense for me to, especially when we talked about this before. It's like, and I'm not always 100% good on this, but like asking if it's okay for feedback, because otherwise, how many times have you been somewhere and people volunteer, hey, I don't like that shirt, or well, no, who asked you? Like, no one asked, right? So
that sounds vaguely familiar in a conversation we had a few weeks ago.
Correct.
Right.
You're perceptive on that.
Yeah, thank you. I am INFJ. No, I'm not. Yeah, I always get confused with the whole Myers-Briggs thing. Yeah, so like you offered some feedback without asking me if I wanted it or was receptive to it.
I thought it was inferred or implied, and it that was a big assumption on my part. And so I take responsibility for that. I am responsible for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, and you did at the time. I mean, I never doubted you would take responsibility for your piece in that. I just wanted you to know my authentic feelings were, I was not in a place that I was really interested in your feedback.
It was good. It was a good gut check for me too, because it's like, well, no, and then I stopped. I was about ready to go. Well, no. That's where she is. That's okay. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned that I don't know. I've learned so much in this last 2 years. I feel like I've been on speed, and I'm not really on speed. And I know people like to think that's funny.
So
But
to choose life, I
to
think,
choose life.
what does that mean? And how can other people maybe follow, or maybe not? Maybe how can other two people just hear a different perspective on what that means?
Well, what I always ask people when I meet new people is like, are you, like, if I meet them at their job, are you doing your dream job? I ask them that a lot. And, you know, I've never seen anybody that said, like, that's a janitor or something, you know, that, yes, this is my dream job. No, really, I would like to. And almost everybody says, run my own business. To some degree, almost everybody at some point, that's their vision, is to have their own vision unfold.
Yeah, I think it's great. Are they prepared for everything else besides? I mean, it's there's definitely some good things about having a business for sure. Not gonna lie about that. But then there's a whole nother set of stressors and struggles that you didn't even consider when you were working for somebody else.
Right. Yeah, you have no idea. But then once you do that, also I get to go to work. I mean, here I've been doing this for years. I get to go. I love every day.
But you're choosing life, and how does that relate to what you were talking about as far as your job, and you're asking people about your
choosing
job?
life to me is living my dream, whatever that dream is, at least going for it, trying to get there, not letting obstacles stop me.
Okay, so it all goes back to this then, because we started off by asking, like, your energy was not to the level that I'm used to interacting with you.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, and you know, you probably don't, I don't know, do you feel okay?
I feel exhausted.
Yes. Okay. So that's kind of what I was picking up on. And a lot of people may have just said, you know what, I'm just exhausted. My iron's low, Mark, and give me this whole reasons about why, because you need to go and get infusions and make it really grandiose sounding and you know, whatever. You chose not to. So I was curious, is that a part of you still choosing life? And if so, how?
Well, it's like you said earlier, like, why don't you quit your job? Do you know how many people have said that to me?
And you know me, and I hope everybody else knows that too. I wasn't meaning that. I wasn't saying, Carol Rose, don't quit your job. I wrote quit your job. That wasn't what I was meaning at all.
Of course not. So thank you for explaining that. Yes, but people are saying that well-meaning. They're saying that
No, with like that's like, yeah, exactly. Save yourself, and this would be a good offer. I would take this piece of advice because
right.
You really need to heed this.
Right, because you know, then you would be doing self-care.
Yeah.
But reality is,
your self-care is your work.
Huh?
Your self-care is your work, to some extent.
To some extent, it is. But I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, the question was about you choosing to still show up on the call, even though your iron is low and you feel exhausted.
Right. So I've gotten so much feedback from people that have said, why don't you quit? And I have always struggled with depression throughout my life, and now I don't. And I, you know, started taking medication when Daniel died, and then I've been off of it. I think I was on about a year, and I've been off of it 6, 7, 8 months. I don't know, something like that. I went off of it very slowly, so it took a while to do that piece. But I don't struggle with depression anymore. That's bizarre. My whole life, I've struggled with depression, and now I'm not depressed at the very time I actually have a reason to be depressed.
I don't think that's odd.
Well, I don't now either.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But at the time, I just, you know, to see that and realize, like, my kids have always seen mom cry, and now mom says, you know, how are you? In the midst of my own, like, I'm not sure if I'm going to live, how are you? Like, I'm purposefully, strategically present for as many people as I can be. And I'm not,
how do you know? Well, this is a serious question. Like not like the other ones weren't, but how do you know? How will you know when it is time for Carol to, no kidding, take self-care? Like how will you? Because I mean, everybody has their limits, right?
yeah.
So
I have
how will you know? You have what?
I have self-care built in every day. So we have changed my schedule. So I have an hour and a half appointments.
I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about in the future. You seem to have it managed now. I'm talking about in the future. How will you know? And I think this is for everybody too. Like, how will I know? Like, when it's time to say enough is enough and I need to make a shift in order to provide self-care for me. Because I hear you, that you're a trooper and you're moving forward and like you're willing to, and all that. But there will come a time when everybody's life, for whatever reason, where it just, no, like the answer should be no.
I think that for the rest of my life from here on out, I will be pacing myself. One of the things I've had to accept through this process is that I cannot play volleyball. I've played all my life.
You said no to volleyball.
I have to because I'm getting another hernia.
Yeah.
So my stomach just doesn't like to keep in my intestines. I mean, it's just, they should just fall out all the time. So I had to accept in the last few weeks that beautiful Tashikari ball that I have, that I set so pretty with, is not going to be used by me in the way I've used it, because that piece of my life has to change, or that's a no. There's certain things I have now said no to that I used to say
when
yes.
It shows up when your guts start spilling out.
Yeah, there's that. Or I can't handle spice anymore. Or, there's certain Carol, that is gone now. Those things are gone from your life now. That's okay.
Yeah.
So accepting those things helps me quite a bit.
Well, and I'm also thinking that part of you being fully present to people's life is a little bit taxing, but also it builds you up. It is a little form of self-care for you. It might not be for everybody, but you being fully present for there, you gain value out of that. And in that, it's not always a give proposition. It can be where other people you're working with maybe, and you're talking with, where it's like they're giving to you in the same way.
Yeah. Well,
so it's not all give.
No,
right?
It's beneficial on all
sides. Right.
But, well, I don't want to say but. What I wanted to say was that these hour and a half appointments are actually 1 hour appointments. I build in, if I'm tired, I rest in between. So that's a 30-minute period where if I need to, I take a nap.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm perfect.
Hey, we could get curious about the naps in the future.
Okay, it's on the list. I got it on the list. I got a big list.
So you're saying that you don't grind all day, all night, even though you might be working, because I heard you.
Yeah.
That you will say, oh, well, I have about a half an hour before, I'll just take a nap.
Yes, I build that into every day, many times in a day. I build that into my schedule. So
this is strikingly sounding familiar, because I have that too. It's not many times a day, but it's definitely worked into my day, if I can at all help it.
Right.
If I can't, then I can't. But if I want to live my best life, and my best life is not about how many clients I see or how much money is in my bank account. The best life is, am I, living the most true self, and not, my stress level is not through the roof.
Right. So I never know when I'm going to hit this wall that I hit, where the brain fog hits me harder. And it's starting to do that now. And you will see like people notice that difference when it starts to hit me. But then I go to sleep or I rest, close my eyes, get away from the light. And it's just amazing how quickly I am back to me.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's true for so many people, including myself.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people fully understood that. Like how powerful just even resting your eyes. Let's talk about that next time.
Yeah. That too?
No, what do you mean that too? We're talking about naps.
Let's put naps. Well, yes. So I'm working on creating environments, of course, the stress-free environment. And
we'll have a segment on naps.
Light dim. All of those things, it's amazing. Like the 10-minute power nap or whatever you want to call that.
Love them.
Change is my life. And I sometimes will get up from those things and just have brilliant sessions with people where, they really get unstuck in
even 10 minutes. And, I'm going to get all excited. I'm going to talk about this for a long time too. So we need to figure out a short stop, but I'm excited to talk about that because for me, it's just a reset.
Yes. So the difference is that right now I'm doing this because, well, I've been diagnosed with MS and, I have a concussion or whatever. I don't know if, any of that's true or not true. I couldn't even tell you. It doesn't matter. I don't need a label. I know I'm tired.
Yeah.
And when I'm tired, I need to rest. Makes sense.
You're a remarkable human being. And I'm happy to be alive in the same time frame that you are on this earth because you mean a lot to people, and people just watching you have more inspiration and hope because you're sharing you.
Thank you. I do know that it is impacting people. I hear all the time that is true, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. So I, in that regard, am meeting the dream of my life, which is taking that leap of faith and making a difference in their life while they're making a difference in mine.
Yeah. It's also a good thing that you never thought about quitting.
Oh, I did. I absolutely did. And, I most definitely.
Did you not see my face? Did you not see my face?
Yes, I did.
I was like, smirk. I think that's the biggest key takeaway. Look,
of course.
You've struggled, I've struggled, we've all struggled, but trying to find out that the secret sauce for you as your own human entity is well, for me, it's one of the most important things people can do is finding their own secret sauce.
I think it's putting on my battle gear and just continuing to get up.
Right, but your battle gear is different than mine. Then it's different than
my own battle gear. I didn't say
right. Yeah, no, I'm just saying. So everybody has a secret sauce. And it's gonna, I don't know what the analogy goes next, but I think part of the key to life is finding that secret sauce for you.
Yeah. And it's really made me so happy. And it's just bizarre, that I know people question me, like, are you like manic or something? But no, I just realized that life is precious.
Yeah.
It's really, really precious. I mean, I bring my dog to work with me now. My time with her is precious, and I don't want her to sit alone without me here for hour upon hour. And now she is bringing joy to, a room full of kids in the waiting room, just like, oh, your dog. And then, all the clients and she sits next to me, and really she's my emotional support dog and I'm more her emotional support person. However that looks, it's just like I'm embracing her. She gets a little harness that goes in my car, spoiled rotten, but why not? Because
exactly,
there's no reason not to. And I'm not going to be able to do that with my cat, but I can do that with my dog. And her time is precious on this earth. I don't know how long I'll have her. Just like when my kids were with me, they were with me everywhere I went.
Right.
Until they moved out, the little boogers. And, now my son is coming to work for me, which I'm so excited about. He's graduating with his physics degree, and he's coming to work for me in one of my new businesses. And as of yesterday, I'm opening up a new office. And a lot of people want to stop me. When are you going to stop? I'm not. I would like to go out 95 years old, still making a difference.
You know what? Here's my thing, and I think I'll live with it. Look, is it maybe healthy for you to do the way you're doing? Maybe not. I don't know. Who knows? But I would much rather have someone leave this world chasing after what makes them come alive and kind of maybe exit this life at a different time than we want them to, than anything else. So for me, from my perspective, you keep living your passion in the way that you feel that you need to do it, and don't let anybody else stop you. Obviously, heed their perspective, but then the rest, nothing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
And that's
matter.
what you're starting. That's what you're starting to figure out. And I just love watching the whole transformation. Is that people's opinions don't matter, and when people's opinions don't matter, it frees you up to just
be Carol.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be kind, things like that.
Well, my assistant says she thinks I'm the kindest person on the planet.
No, what I'm saying is it doesn't give you freedom to just go out and be a complete pain if that's what you feel your truth is or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
your authenticity doesn't give you the right to be, anyway.
A butt.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't go out that way. I would go out connecting with as many people as I can as I go.
Carol, I'm talking about right now. If you died tomorrow.
None of us have promised anything.
But I'm saying if you died tomorrow, my framework would be here's a woman who just went after her passion and she just kept going after it and going after it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything else would be like me trying to take your passion away from you.
Mm-hmm.
What? What? Like, no, that's your dharma. That's what you're supposed to be creating. Because why? Because you are, and you love it.
Well, you don't. When from my perspective, I'm just putting one foot in front of the other. I don't see myself as some people see me.
Who cares? Who cares? Like that just it doesn't matter. Who cares?
I don't.
And when we start to really get that it doesn't matter, then we're freed up. And I'm not saying that things should not still be important, like how we communicate and treat people with compassion, love, and respect and all that. But at the same time, I think sometimes we're just too tethered by trying to have it be a certain way. And those certain ways aren't even really things we believe. We're taught that.
Well, I do have to say that the energy that I used to waste thinking about what other people could be judging me about now is put toward my goal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I have 1,000,000,000% more energy that goes straight to my goal, which is, who knows what the end goal is, but at some point it's going to be a TED Talk and some point it's going to be my new website launch, and I'm also doing a video, and who knows, right?
Yeah,
whatever that thing is, it's along the way, I will be doing a TED Talk. I have no idea what I'll talk about. That's just one of my ideas. I know I probably won't do it Toastmasters way, but
even TED Talks, that doesn't even matter either. That's just another way that you can serve and you can share. That's it. That's all it is.
That's what it is. That's it.
That's all it is.
To make the difference that people can see that if I can do it, you can do it. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. And that's it for our show today. What about that? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay. All right.
So
well, I'm glad you decided to show up and continue to move forward because it was I don't know, it was really good.
Well, thank you. I'm going to stop recording, but if you could hold on just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So maybe we'll be back next week. I mean, that's the plan, right? I love that we have these intentional times.
Absolutely.